In May of 1882, Doc Holliday was found to be in Pueblo, Colorado. He, along with all the other members of the Earp Vendetta Ride, was wanted for murder in Arizona. Frank Stillwell, Florentino Cruz, and Curly Bill Brocious were all dead. And Sheriff of Cochise County, Johnny Behan, wanted Wyatt Earp, Holliday, and the other posse members brought back to Arizona. Colorado had been chosen as a safe haven, with Wyatt and Warren Earp going to Gunnison, Colorado, and Doc staying in Pueblo to spend time with friends. It was in Pueblo that Doc encountered a stranger by the name of Perry Mallon. Mallon warned Holliday that the brother of Frank Stillwell was in town looking to kill him. But Stillwell's brother wasn't in town. Perry Mallon was a professional con man who traveled the railroads trying to scam anyone he could out of their money. And Mallon had eyes on the $500 reward for the capture of Holliday. On Sunday, May 14th, Doc traveled with friends, Bat Masterson, Sam Osgood, and Texas George to Denver to attend the races there. On Monday evening, Doc was walking back to his hotel after dinner when Perry Mallon called his name. Mallon was there to arrest him, this time pretending to be a Los Angeles County deputy sheriff with a warrant for Holliday's arrest. Arapahoe County deputy sheriffs Charles Linton and Bernard Cutler were also there to back up Mallon, and Holliday was escorted to the county jail. Over the days that followed, Perry Mallon's lies would begin to unravel, and his true identity as a swindler and con artist became known. However, now that Holliday was under arrest, he was in danger of being extradited to Arizona, where he would certainly be killed by his enemies. With the help of Bat Masterson, who was now the city marshal of Trinidad, Colorado, fake charges were created against Holliday so that he couldn't be extradited, as the Colorado court would have priority. On May the 31st, Doc, along with Bat Masterson, Sheriff Paul, and Deputy Sheriff Linton, arrived in Pueblo, where he was charged with grand larceny. Of course, this was just a smokescreen to protect Holliday. The charge that he stole $150 from Charles White was completely made up to make sure Holliday had to stay in Colorado. Doc was released on bail, and the ruse worked. On June the 16th, Holliday arrived in Gunnison and reunited with Wyatt Earp. It was in Gunnison that a journalist interviewed Holliday on the street. The following is that interview. From the Gunnison Daily News-Democrat, June the 18th, 1882. A man of sand. Doc Holliday of Arizona, caught on the wing by a reporter and pumped. The famous fight with the cowboys described, how the bogus Denver detective took Doc to jail. There arrived in this city 2 days ago a gentleman who has gained a great deal of notoriety within the past few weeks through the columns of the press. The News-Democrat's reporter's attention was first called to the gentleman by a businessman who pointed across the street, said, "Do you see that man yonder? That's Doc Holliday of Arizona." The man pointed out was dressed in a dark, close-fitting suit of black and wore the latest style of round top hat. His hair was seen to be quite gray, his mustache sandy, and his eyes a piercing dark blue. A member of the sporting fraternity happened to come along. The reporter was introduced and received a strong, free, and friendly grip of a hand, which said very plainly, "Here is a man who, once a friend, is always a friend. Once an enemy is always an enemy." The gentleman from Arizona was quick to scent the purpose of the reporter, and half laughingly and half in seriousness said,
"I'm glad to see you, Mr. Reporter, but I'm not traveling about the country in search of notoriety, and I think you newspaper fellas have already had a fair hack at me."
The reporter gently explained that he wouldn't, for 7 true Fisher veins, violate the privacy of any man, and then proceeded, as reporters best know how, to apply the pump, with the following results. Lest Mr. Holliday should recklessly attempt to annihilate the reporter upon sight for his breach of confidence, he is hereby informed that the reporter's pockets are filled full of little 2-ounce cans of nitroglycerin, which will certainly explode if they are subjected to any violence.
I shall probably be here till about the 30th, when I have some business in Pueblo, which will take me away for a while. But I shall come back again, and most likely remain in Gunnison City during the summer.
Is this your first visit here?
It is, and I think you have a fine country here. I like it very much.
Did you ever live in Texas?
Yes, I lived in Dallas and Denison for several years. I practiced dentistry there, having graduated at the Pennsylvania College of Dentistry in Philadelphia. That is how I got my title of doc. I settled in Dallas and followed dentistry for about 5 years. I attended the Methodist Church regularly. I was a member of the Methodist Church there and also a prominent member of a temperance organization till I deviated from the path of rectitude.
You are not a native of Texas?
Nope, I was born in Georgia 31 years ago.
When you left Texas, where did you go?
I came north. I lived in Denver in 1875 and 1876.
When did you go to Arizona the last time?
I went there 3 years ago.
You are acquainted with the Earps, I believe?
Yes, we are friends.
You had some trouble in Arizona with the cowboys, didn't you?
Well, yes,
drawled the doctor.
you might call it trouble. Bill Earp was city marshal of Tombstone. Morg Earp was a special policeman. Wyatt Earp was a deputy U.S. marshal. One day 6 of the cowboys came into town and proposed to run it. The Earps were informed of their doings, and they invited me to go over to where the cowboys were. One of the Earps said, "Throw up your hands, we have come to disarm you." Instead of putting up their paws, they put up their revolvers and began firing. 3 of them were killed on the spot, and 2 of the Earps wounded. I received a slight wound on the hip, which caused me some inconvenience for a few days.
When was this affair?
It occurred on the 26th of last October. Morg Earp was killed about 4 months afterwards, while playing pool in Bob Hatch's saloon in Tombstone. Verg was waylaid one night and shot in the arm. He is now in California under medical treatment. Stillwell, the man who helped murder Morg Earp, was killed in Tucson while awaiting trial for staged robbery.
You say 3 cowboys were killed on the 26th of October. Are there any of that gang still living?
2 of them have since been laid out.
Did you ever have any trouble in Fort Steele?
No, I do not know where it is.
You have been in Fort Griffin, haven't you?
Yes, I lived there.
Who is this Mallon that arrested you in Denver?
He is some crank trying to gain notoriety.
Were you acquainted with him?
I never saw him till one night in Pueblo a few weeks ago when he called me out of a theater and said, "You saved my life in Santa Fe once, and I want to do you a favor. A man came in on the train who says he's going to kill you." I said to him, "Mr. Mallon," he had given me his name, "I don't want to be killed, and I am much obliged to you." He then said, "If you give me away, I'll kill you." I went for my revolver, and he went for his. He found me on my guard, and he invited me to drink. The next morning, he took the train for Denver.
Had you been long in Denver when he arrested you?
I got there that day. I was on my way to the Wood River country. That evening, I was going down to the Windsor Hotel to meet the superintendent of the Little Pittsburgh mine, a personal friend of mine who had offered me what money I wanted to make the trip.
Is this Mallon a man of sand?
Well, to show you what kind of a man he is, after he had arrested me and was taking me to jail, he sat in front of me with 2 revolvers pointing directly towards me, and I entirely unarmed and defenseless.
When did Mallon leave Denver?
About 4 days before I got out. He knew I was going to get out,"
added Mr. Holliday with a smile. "Shall you do anything at his trial?"
"No, that is not my way of doing. I avoid trouble. My father taught me when young to attend to my own business and let other people do the same. I shall let him alone if he does me."
What do you think will be the result of his trial?
"I think he will go to the pen for a few years. I have a letter from the House of Comfort and Harlan in Denver, which says, 'The fraternity will spend $1,000 if necessary to send him there.'